Hey, we'll be on with your regular programming and Nick DiPaolo in third chair in a little bit, but needed to take a moment here to address some issues out there that are circulating. It's never fun, but well, I guess let me be clear here. I have been living with a proverbial boot on my neck for going on years now. Since 2021, I've been living through what has increasingly been a horrendous divorce. Now, let me say on the outset, to be clear, there is no infidelity, any kind of physical abuse at all on either side. And no, this was not my choice. My then wife decided that she didn't want to be married anymore. And in the state of Texas, that is completely permitted. It's been the most heartbreaking experience of my life, what I consider to be my deepest personal failure. And just so you know, my opinions on parenting and families have not changed. I've always believed that children need a mom and a dad, that divorce is horrible. And I still believe that children need a mom and a dad and that divorce is horrible. But in today's legal system, my beliefs don't matter. In Texas, divorce is permitted when one party wants it, period. So for well over a year, in the best interest, as well as physical safety of my children, we've decided to keep this issue private and to resolve it privately with the appropriate attorneys, what have you, legal jargon. Now, in all this, one thing I want to be really clear about is certain. True north here is that my children are blameless, completely without fault, and so we decided to resolve these issues privately, as it's in their best interests, both emotionally and physically, to do so. Now, the other issue is, and this is something that I've kept private for likely far too long, many other people knew about this behind the scenes. Some, not all, but some of them in positions of power, influence, leverage, knew of this. They also knew that the safety of my children included keeping it private. So if you're familiar with the idea...
Hey, salute everybody joining me today. Can you guys hear me? Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear my voice. I have an issue with audio right now. Put a 1 in the chat if you can hear my voice. Then continue on.
Of extortion, then you know the feeling well. Now, some of these threats were so thinly veiled that I'm frankly surprised you didn't all guess immediately.
Stephen has a lot going on. I guess is the best way to say it. He has a lot going on, and that should be clear because people don't do stuff like this if there's not a lot going on in their lives. I would like to implore my audience and everybody that isn't paying attention to this situation not to condemn him, but to pray for him. Sometimes people need a prayer. Sometimes people need a scripture. You know, Stephen purports to be a Christian. I am unsure at this moment if it is my place to say more than that. You know, maybe if I feel in further defense, some things should be said, or maybe if I feel that the public has a right to understand certain circumstances.
Oh, my children have a right to privacy. Now, some other issues have been, or I should say, inferences have been more pernicious behind the scenes with demands and threats to use this information that they believe would be so publicly embarrassing to me and my wife at a difficult time that it could be used, knowingly putting my children in harm's way. So to those self-styled Christians, conservatives, and allies, well, not in my book. Now, if you find yourself, I don't want to get into details, so this is going to likely be the only time I have to address this or want to address this. If you're asking yourself, hey, did X person or did Y person know? The answer is likely yes, which will be made alarmingly clear as this process of discovery continues. And it also, by the way, makes me that much more appreciative of those who did know about this and in understanding the best interests of my family, my children, kept their word and used discretion. I can't thank you enough. Sincerely, I appreciate it. Won't forget it. It's pretty simple. I loved a woman so much that I married her. A woman who, despite all of this, I still love as the mother of my children. And she wanted something else for her life. That's not my choice. She simply wanted out, and the law says that that's how it works. Now, of course, look, I get it. There are multiple sides to every story, but one thing that is undeniable in this case is that it's no one's fault but my own in that I picked wrong, and that's certainly not the fault of my children. And I will say that what's in the best interest of my children is not internet drama, speculation, certainly not blatant or veiled shakedowns or dragging their father or mother, and I can't be clear on that enough, or their mother through the mud. And to anyone who tries it, I'm no longer going to pacify, capitulate, or sidestep because I love them a whole lot more than I love you. And I will continue to do whatever is necessary to protect my children. Discussing the divorce any further on social media or on this show or in any public space is not what's best for them. I'll be handling this through the proper legal avenues and channels available as a matter of record in which I have more than full confidence. So I'd ask that you understand the need for and respect our privacy in what is obviously a pretty tough time. And I hope that none of this has to go any further than that. Now, on with the reason you're all actually here.
So there you have it, folks. Our brother Steven Crowder. And this is the statement that he gave in a process that he was going through a messy divorce from his wife. And obviously, with many of the conservatives, they turned their back on Steven and abandoned him. And that's why when I see these guys on the internet, especially the Andrew Wilsons and other guys that we talk to all the time, when they talk about marriage, they always talk about it from the religious perspective, not understanding that it is a contract with the state. Not they know it, but they don't care. They feel like spirituality and religion is all you need to get through it. But we see with Brother Steven right there, when he hit a wall or when he came through difficulty in his marriage, everybody, including the church, pretty much abandoned him because he had made comments at some time about red pill content creators, about some guys in the manosphere or whatever. I don't belong to any associations. They can call me whatever they want to call me, but I do independent men's content. Quickly, they abandoned this man. How quickly they rolled him underneath the bus. And that's what men have to realize, is that you're on your own. In a gynocentric environment, you on your own. And any decision that you make sure you make that well-informed with all the information possible so that if it doesn't work out in your favor, you understand this is the situation that you're in. These guys don't have your back. The court of public opinion don't have your back. And he ate it like a man. He realized the situation he was in. He said, I picked poorly. He probably did everything he could right. It just didn't work out for him. Sometimes it doesn't work out for some guys. Many times it doesn't work out for many guys. Many guys who are married, it still isn't working out for them. They just can't say it because they're in it. And they're in it, and they're in it in a financial level that they're neck deep in it financially, even though the situation is not working out in their favor. But they just can't get out of it. It's just too expensive to leave the situation. They won't say it to you because they're in it. And they're not willing to pay. Because it's one thing for somebody on the outside to say to somebody, okay, well, you're not happy, or you're not miserable, or your wife is this, or you're in a sexless marriage, or you're when you have kids, when you have mortgages, when you have financial investments, 401ks, retirement plans, some men just stay and say, you know what, I cannot have, hey, salute to you, man, Mr. Smith. Welcome to the chat, man. He said, that's why he made the song is cheaper to keep her. Right. Because, I mean, like, everybody can say, well, just leave her. What? Man, you got 2 or 3 kids with that woman. And more so men be like, I ain't trying to have no other dude. Especially guys that got daughters and sons. You don't know what kind of pervert that's going to come in that house if you get out of there. And a lot of guys just sit in these sexless marriages and they're miserable and they're doing time. The church ain't going to help you. No one's going to help you. But some guys would rather stay than have their kids exposed to some sexual deviant from her ex-boyfriend or something like that, You know, it's crazy. Hey, what's up, my brother? Salute. Oh, what's it? There, that salute, man, salute. Peace. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you guys coming in. And guys, just make sure you hit the like button coming in. But a lot of guys are just, they're like, yo, and you see dudes, you talk to them all the time. And they're like, yo, you know, after a certain amount of time, there's very few situations that are positive. Because we live in an environment where men's responsibility and men's accountability, your foot is held to the fire. Trust me, I've been married for almost a decade. The responsibility and the liability is extremely high, especially when you look at your kids and you see that, hey, look, you know, decisions don't just affect me in these relationships, and you're in deep. And even when you decide if the situation dissolves or break up, you have other people's lives that are affected. So men will put aside their happiness and their peace for the best interest of their children to protect their household or protect their kids from outsiders coming in and people being around their kids that are not them. Many women are just like, I'm unhappy. I don't feel good. I don't like the situation. And social media itself is telling them, you know, there's something on the other end of the rainbow. But the problem with that is that all of these people that are talking don't want to talk about the legalities of the situation because it doesn't serve their purpose. Their purpose is, well, we want men marrying women. It's good for society. We don't disagree that marriage is good for society, functional marriage. But with the way the legal system is working, the way how the modern culture is going, when you get intertwined with the state, and an environment that's not designed to hold each individual to the same level of accountability in some regards, or even hold people to act right, or hold women especially to any level of expectations, especially when it comes to what the social contract. What exactly are you asking men to get into? And they did that one thing in Kentucky. Kentucky divorce rate went down by what? When they changed the laws. I was like, the laws that really matter. And in Kentucky, when it went down 70, was it 25%? Kentucky. There we go. That's better. Share screen. So Kentucky, when they changed the law, let me show you how much the laws matters versus all this rhetoric. Is people are not talking about the law. The law is what matters.
Nation with a 25% drop. So Kentucky just shocked the nation with a 25% drop in divorces. But the question, of course, is how and what exactly changed within the past few years. Well, back in 2018, Kentucky became the first state to flip the script when it came to custody. You see, instead of automatically giving the mom primary custody and dad every other weekend Disney dad role, as many of you have seen over and over again, the law made 50-50 custody the default. Unless there's proof of real abuse or neglect, the court starts from equal parenting time. Here's why that's important. The more time dad spends with his kids, the less he will have to pay in child support. Before, divorces often meant that the mom walks away with the kid and a big child support check. After the law, that's not guaranteed anymore. Now critics, mostly women's groups, say this is unfair. They argue that some mothers feel trapped in bad marriages, even abusive ones, because they worry that dad will get half custody even if they divorce. And judges have been accused of ignoring abuse claims, all because the father didn't directly lay hands on the child. But here's the other side. Men see this as finally fair. Husbands say the system no longer rewards the wife for filing for a divorce just to get custody and child support. Instead, both parents have to share time, share responsibility, and share costs. So what Kentucky did was take out the financial incentive to blow up a marriage. And for a lot of men, that's exactly why they call this a win.
Divorce rates are dropping in Kentucky. I went there to figure out why. In 2018, Kentucky became the first state to make 50-50 shared custody the default. That means that children split their time equally between both parents, and fathers pay less in child support.
Basically, all right, there we go. Hey, salute, Mick, D, welcome to the chat. When you focus on the things that matter, the laws, that's when things start changing. Or any other conversations other than changes in the laws, it's just somebody talking out their ass. The laws that matters. And Kentucky is proof that the laws matter. So if you're talking about marriage or any type of traditional type relationship, you better start talking about the laws, or any man with any common sense is not going to listen. And Kentucky is an example of that. Let's continue on.
The more time that they spend with their children. Before that, judges decided custody based on what they called the best interest of the child. Fathers said that usually relegated them to an every other weekend arrangement, the so-called Disneyland dad effect, while mothers got to spend most of the time with their children. Since the law passed, divorce rates have dropped. Between 2016 and 2023, divorces in the state fell 25%, compared to 18% nationwide. It's hailed as a victory for fathers' rights, but the story is more complicated. Some critics of the law say that people are staying in abusive marriages because they're afraid of leaving their children alone with a parent with a history of violence. One mom told me that her husband nearly killed her in 2023. She filed criminal charges and he was arrested. But less than 2 weeks after he got out of jail, a judge awarded him 50% custody of their son, indicating that the abuse wasn't a factor since he didn't lay hands on the child. The law has become a model for other states. Arkansas, West Virginia, Florida, and Missouri have passed their own versions of the equal custody presumption. Around 20 other states are—
You know, they actually have a point. This isn't really fair. Think about it. If things were truly equal, men wouldn't have to keep paying child support when custody is split 50-50. Sure, abuse does happen, and that's serious. But the truth is, most marriages aren't abusive. Have you noticed how some people always claim that women's safety is under threat whenever a law changes, even just a little, especially if it takes away some advantage men had? They try hard to make it seem like women are helpless, constant victims who need one-sided protections. All the while, they know not every man is some evil abuser.
Represent dads and not moms.
Because dads walk into my office and they're like, I want out. Here's $5,000. Call me when you need me. When mom walks in, it's, I want his heart, his soul, every bit of his skin. I want all the money. I want the kids. I want to get him fired from the job. I want him in jail. I want him turned into the IRS. He's an a-hole loser who never loved me. And, oh, I don't have any money. You got to go to him to get it anyways.
She fought so hard so that this man doesn't get 50-50, and she's screaming around about how she's so happy that she's got primary physical custody because she was looking at the 61,000. And she said, if I can get primary physical custody, then I can get access. I already got the kids, and now the kids allow me to tap in to $61,000. And when the arbitrator says, fine, I will give you the kids, she's like, yeah. And then the arbitrator says, okay, and I'm gonna give you $4,000, more than your kids need, $4,000 a month in child support. And y'all saw her reaction. She said, this is, oh, come on. And look at Brian, like, maybe this one, I don't really care either way.
Yeah, I was gonna say the $4,000 that is nothing to her. The $4,000 is nothing to her. You know, she's like, hell no. I thought I was gonna walk away with a windfall. And that's what happens when you take the money out of this shit. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, there we go. That's better. Can you hear me now? Okay, good. Appreciate it. But when you take the money out of it, it's a whole different world, man. It's a whole different ball game. Let's continue on. You like hell to the no.
Is it really? This is such.
There are going to be people online that say you didn't get married because he wanted you to sign a prenup.
Correct.
So why did you not just sign the prenup?
In that moment, it was, I'd rather walk away from something knowing that I chose myself than to spend the rest of my life not being loved the way that I love somebody.
Translation, I want to take his money and virtue signal while I do it.
Somebody.
Yep.
Does anyone else find it funny or even a little strange that the second Kentucky added laws for, equality in child support and custody cases during divorce, the suddenly divorce rates dropped 25%? It's almost like a lot of these women were only filing for divorce because they knew that they were going to win no matter what the circumstances were, right? Like, you could literally be a cheating tramp that has kids with other men and you're still going to get half. Not anymore. Now it's like, all right, we got to look at the case and see who's actually better for the kids, who can, has a place to provide for them and can actually, give them a stable environment. Not, okay, well, so you get the kids, and well, since the man works, he's gonna pay for it. That's not how that works anymore. And I just think it's funny that the second they enact this, the rates drop. It's almost like if women can't have their life subsidized by their ex, they're more willing to try to make things work. And don't be like, but women are staying in abusive relationships. 71% of abuse isn't unilateral, meaning at least 7 out of 10 victims simply lost the fight they started. Not trying to cheapen what real victims go through, just saying that most of you aren't that. In rare cases, don't, justify the whole.
We've all seen how easy it can be for an ex-wife to take the kids.
What's strange to me too is like when you listen to some of these closet simp content creators, they try to make everything about the young men not wanting to get married about them not leveling up to meet women's expectations or them not having the options to get married, not about how jacked up the system is that exists. And that's what baffles my mind. It's like they're living in a parallel dimensions where dudes are not out here getting cooked. And many of these dudes that you talk to, they've been married like once or twice. So they know the circumstance in the situation is crazy unfair. What's his name? He said, let's not forget that women push for divorce cases. There's a whole industry behind it. Lawyers, family court, a whole industry of middle-aged women products. Forever 21, not for teens, but aged ones. Absolutely. But they want to make it seem, but they always try to make it a box. Guys are incels and they're not performing and they can't get boxed. Performing to get what? Cooked? And it just misses my mind. What exactly are they trying to get? This utopia of torture that you have waiting for them? I don't get it. And they try to make it about sex or getting sex or finding women to marry you. Really? Like marriage is some delicious meal that's going to be served and you're just like, oh man, I want to get at it. No, those are like, nah, I see what happened to my uncle so-and-so, he jumped off the bridge. I think I'll take a pass. That's how dudes are looking at it. It ain't about getting women or leveling up to find women to marry. Man, get out of here. Nobody is interested in signing up for that torture chamber that you're trying to offer as something of value. They're like, nah, I think I'll sit this one out. But in a fair system and balanced system, I think most men that are, pretty much, was like, okay, men enjoy being with women, but under the current terms and conditions, it's rough. We'll be with them, but when you start adding the state in there, you add a whole different element to the marriage equation. So let's continue on.
House and other assets, even when she was the one at fault in the divorce. The law change? It simply took away some of the financial incentive to tear a family apart. And guess what? it actually led to fewer divorces right away. Some people just know how powerful it is to play the victim while using the system to get what they want. And the moment anyone tries to limit that, they act like it's a huge injustice. Here's the thing, when you're used to privilege, real equality can feel like oppression. So it's no surprise when some claim that losing the chance to turn a man into a financial slave for decades is oppression. In reality, it's just fairness. 50-50 is custody and shared responsibility.
Last relationship, we broke up because he asked me to marry him, but then he asked me to sign a prenuptial agreement. And I said, absolutely not. I think that's bogus. I'm not going to sign a piece of paper that says that if you leave me, I get nothing. Like, no, I think that I should have half of everything that you've worked your entire life for. And I think that's fair.
I didn't date you for your money. I fell in love with your heart.
Well, then just sign the prenup and let this love story begin.
Love stories don't begin with prenups.
This one does.
Women don't need men for money.
Oh.
Statistics show single women own more houses than single men.
Yeah, from divorce.
Most shocking prenup I've ever seen, which was enforceable, had a provision that said that for every 10 pounds the wife gained in the marriage, she would lose $10,000 a month in alimony. He was very concerned that she was going to become less attractive and he was going to become more wealthy. So his solution to this was in the prenuptial agreement. He wanted a clause that said if they divorced, she was going to get like $70,000 a month for alimony. But for every 10 pounds she gained from the date of marriage, she would forfeit $10,000 a month worth of alimony. And it was designed to sort of create an incentive that she would remain thin. And that was enforceable, meaning they tried to challenge and set aside that provision. And the court said, this is a disgusting provision. I don't know why you married this person, but it's enforceable. It's a contract. The two of you signed it and you had a right to sign it and you agreed to these rules, and they may be ridiculous rules, but you agreed to them and you have a right to do that. I think it's a kind of love. I think it's a form of love. Is it a form of love I'd be interested in? No, I think it's very shallow in some ways. There's something very honest about it. I mean, you can't argue with the fact that there's something very upfront about it. He was making very clear and putting in writing, here's the value you bring to this relationship. I consider your physical appearance vitally important to this relationship. And by the way, don't skip the other side of that equation. She was going to get $70,000 a month. That's a very impressive number. So I think she also understood there was a value to be attached to him as well. Is it something I would be interested in on either side of that equation? No. But do I have a right to say to someone that's not love? I don't think I have a right to say that to someone. I think that if this is an economy the two of you have agreed on.
Did you know that equal shared parenting laws decrease divorce rates? Well, it's true, and Kentucky proved it. In 2018, Kentucky passed a 50-50 equal shared parenting law. And since then, divorce rates have slowly declined. 25% declined to be exact. Now, I know what some of these crazy toxic women are out here going to say, well, that's because women are locked in their marriages. No. That's because instead of walking away and thinking that they can weaponize the family courts to take the kids and get a shit ton of money, women realize that that's no longer possible in the state of Kentucky. So they're staying. They're working on their marriage. They're going to marriage counseling, and they're making it work in the best interest of their families. But the divorce system, where there's no fault and where there's no 50-50, it's easy for a woman to walk away because she knows she's going to get the lion's share of the assets. She's probably going to get majority custody, and she's probably going to get child support. So what's keeping her there? If it's not the perfect situation and it's not Prince Charming like in the movies, she doesn't want to stay. Toxic women will choose their happiness over their family. Men every day will choose their family over their own happiness. And that's the big difference. But when you take away the options of that financial gain of child support and the guarantee of custody, women are choosing to stay. 50-50 equal share parenting laws are not only in the best interest of children, I guess they're also in the best interest of marriages.
If you like this video, I know you're going to love the next one. Go ahead and click. It's way.
So we see what happens in the law. And also, you got to understand, too, this is not just in America. There was an issue with China's law, divorce laws that had to be changed, where women were basically milking guys out of their properties in China. And it was January 1st this year. And the Chinese women were like, hell no. So going back again, we end up back at the laws. You see, when laws are changed and they're fair and equitable, then all of a sudden women don't become that much interested in being involved with marriage in this state. And that's what we don't talk about. It's the laws that matter. So it's not just America, it's everywhere across the globe. I know Kenya has some excellent marriage laws. The laws. But these guys are talking like the elephant in the room does not exist. They can't see it. Like we're just going to ignore the laws and guys getting cooked and guys jumping off a bridge after divorce. We're just going to tell you guys, just go in there. You don't have a choice. What are the other options here? How about not participating? What did he say? How about, until you change the laws, why would you guys want to participate in it? And it's not just here in America. China's had the same problem, China had an issue.
Marriage law, it says that whatever money.
Look at what happened in China. They had a situation where the gold diggers, what the CCP did in China is they ingrained American feminism into the culture through TikTok and other things with the toxic positivity movement. And that was really to compete with American capitalism in terms of having two people that make money. We wanted the women to be more modern just to compete with other democracies, huge capitalists. Well, they're communists, but they wanted to compete with Western democracies in terms of revenue and whatever else. So they ingrained this into their own culture, and the laws themselves were just became unfavorable. And they changed the laws this January because the divorce rate spiked in China. So we see how much the laws matter, even on a global scale. And salute to Manosphere Highlight Daily. Let's play the clip. He really talks about this, and which is it's interesting how powerful the laws are.
Have you seen the new marriage law? It says that whatever money you earn is yours. What's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. Now I understand why marriage doesn't require a waiting period, but divorce does. Look behind me. These are all people waiting to get divorced. Today is the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. The office opened at 9 a.m., and in just 2 hours, this is the scene.
Your country's birth rates are tanking. Marriage rates are dropping. The economy is bracing for a crisis. So what's the government's brilliant fix? Simple. Make marriage more appealing to men by making divorce less financially devastating for them. Seems logical, right? Well, think again. Because instead of saving marriages, this law just sent women running for the exits. Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. Shout out to Patreon gang member.
So if marriage is so important to the women, why in China, when they changed the laws and made marriage equitable legally, the Chinese women are like, hell no, I can't enrich myself off of this marriage. I'm out. Which proves what's the brother's name? CGA's point. Men are in love, women are in business. Salute to CGA.
Mr. Lowry for the topic request. Salute! Let's break this down. On February 1st, 2025, China officially implemented a new divorce law, and the impact has been massive. Just take a look at this.
Now I understand why marriage doesn't require a waiting period, but divorce does. Look behind me. These are all people waiting to get divorced. Today is the 8th day of the Lunar New Year. The office opened at 9 a.m., and in just 2 hours, this is the scene. I came here to help a client transfer property ownership, and I saw this with my own eyes. Just look at the line. Everyone here is getting a divorce. So far, I've only seen one couple getting married.
Shout out to China Observer for that clip. So, what's in this new law? Has got people, especially women, sprinting to the courthouse? Let's take a look at this post from X. Janice, read.
China has a new divorce law, effective the 1st of February 2025. Previously, all properties owned by either spouse would be equally divided during divorce. Now the rule is a lot simpler. Whoever paid for it owns it after divorce, even if the wife's name was added to the title after marriage. And houses gifted to the husband by his parents will remain his property even after divorce and will not be considered shared matrimonial property. And the Chinese women aren't happy. Oh no.
Chinese women are not just unhappy.
Now, just taking the money out of it, imagine, well, let's let this play.
Chinese women are furious. Check this out.
Have you seen the new marriage law? It says that whatever money you earn is yours. What's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. If her house was bought before marriage, it still belongs to the original owner after divorce, even if my name was later added to the deed. If the house was bought during marriage but paid for by the husband's parents, I wouldn't get a single cent after divorce. This means the traditional idea of men earning and women managing a household no longer applies. The law doesn't care how much housework I do, how many years I spend as a stay-at-home wife, how many kids I have, or how much I sacrifice for the family. It only protects the person with financial assets. So no matter how much money my husband makes, if we get divorced, I won't get a penny. After learning about this law, I lost all motivation. I don't feel like cleaning, washing clothes, or taking care of the kids. Why? Because none of that counts. If I worked as a nanny, I could make 5,000 to 6,000 yuan a month. But right now, I have no job and no income. And no matter how much I do, it won't mean anything. So don't call me lazy anymore. You can take care of the kids, cook your own meals, and wash your own clothes.
This is pure gold. You see
The crazy part about it is, what is she talking about? She's still married to the guy. But in her mind, she's plotting to divorce him. Why does the law matter if you never plan to get divorced? Isn't marriage a lifetime commitment? What changed because of the law if you have no desire to get a divorce? But she just wants to reserve the option to get divorced. Maybe she's not treating her husband right. And now what happens is he has the ability to get rid of her without penalty or heavy consequences. That's what she fears. Now she has to step up her game in the house. She has to treat him with respect and kindness. She doesn't get to be a slouch and be protected by the state, talk shit to him and say, well, if you don't like it, I'll get a divorce. What has changed other than the fact that she can't cash out? And what does that tell you? Once again, the laws matter. All this rhetoric and talk about dating, relationships, and marriage don't mean a damn thing unless you change the laws.
The dilemma here? Marriage, as we know it, is an outdated contract that no longer fits modern society. Men avoided marriage because they knew divorce could financially ruin them. Now that the law protects their assets, women are the ones backing out because now they could walk away with nothing. Like I always say, women are women first. It's in their nature to prioritize security and resources. And when the game changes, so does their strategy. According to Yale sociologist Emma Zhang, Chinese divorce laws have had a major impact on women's well-being. Janice, read.
The reform significantly harmed women's well-being. It caused a 1-point drop on a 5-point life satisfaction scale for 1 in 15 married women, a major outcome given the vast number of individuals affected. Interestingly, the ruling had no significant effects on men's well-being.
Translation: women aren't upset about losing love. They're upset about losing financial security. This is why men need to wake up. Women don't love the same way men do. They love opportunistically. Traditional marriage was built for a different time where women were dependent on men. But in today's world, women make their own money, and that changes everything. Check this out.
Have you ever noticed that 80% of women in the beauty industry are divorced? And many of the most successful ones are also divorced. That includes me. I think the main reason is that women today are more independent. They've realized their value and unlocked their potential. And at some point, they start to see that the husband they chose isn't supporting them, isn't helping the family, and isn't taking responsibility for the household. Most women get married thinking they will take care of the home and family, but over time they realize their husband can't provide financial stability or fulfill his role. That's when they understand that relying on themselves is the only way to have a better life. So these women step up and start building careers. The more successful they become, the wider the gap with their husbands. And a lot of men can't handle having a wife who is more accomplished than them, so they try to bring her down. That's when divorce happens.
See, this is where the lie comes in. Women love to claim that men can't handle successful women. But what they won't admit is that they can't handle being the breadwinner. Need proof? Let's go back to Megyn Kelly's confession about resenting her husband because their kids liked him more. This is what happens when women take on masculine roles. They start seeing their man as competition instead of her husband. And guess what? A man is just supposed to handle that. The foolishness. Career women, no matter how successful, are still women first. And once they start earning, they think it gives them the right to air every petty grievance they have without consequences. In contrast, traditional women understood that their role was to complement their husband's masculinity, not compete with it. But modern society, it encourages the exact opposite, leading to men and women constantly butting heads. And it's not just a Western problem. Look at China.
I just saw New Year fights trending online. My first thought was, so it's not just my family. That actually made me feel a bit better. In my home, fights can break out over anything, from something as small as a chopstick falling on the floor, too much filling in dumplings, or even a child coughing, to something as big as the footballer Messi controversy or international conflicts. The new year is supposed to be a time of joy, but in reality, the more people gather, the more arguments happen. The reasons are endless. If you can think of it, it can probably start a fight. Even now, I don't understand. Getting together for the holiday isn't easy, so why do people end up arguing?
Among the most serious disputes were those between married couples. These conflicts were not limited to verbal arguments. Some escalated into physical altercations, including fights and overturned tables.
Fighting over dumpling fillings? At least somebody's cooking. Western women don't even want to make you a sandwich. But back to the bigger issue. Why are men and women struggling to get along? Let's hear from this Chinese man breaking it down.
By the way, I'm not just trying to pinpoint the blame on women. I'm talking about this is an issue between both man and woman. So when everybody only had one child, all the parents, right? This is this generation's grandparents now. Back then, when they were brand new parents, they would say things like, "Oh my God, my son, you're my only child. You are so special. I love you so much. You are the prince. You are the king of the world. I'm going to make you the world's #1. I'll buy anything you want to. You want to go to Florida? You want to visit Disneyland? I'll take you there. You want to go to Vail, Colorado during the winter for a skiing trip? I'll take you there. You want a BMW for your 18th birthday? I'll buy you a BMW. You want a Mercedes? I'll give you a Mercedes. I'll do anything I can to make you happy." And so this is a major problem, right, for both man and woman. And they're telling their daughters, "Oh my God, you're a princess. You're so beautiful. You're 1 in a million. You're future Miss Universe. You're going to enter all these beauty pageants. You're going to be a runway model. Oh, girl, you are a 10. You're so special. You deserve a top 1% man." So yeah, a lot of this generation, right, obviously for me it's different. Yes, I do have 2 siblings, and this is partly due to the many divorces in my family. But the next generation of these Chinese people, yeah, they're screwed because they've never ever been told no their entire childhood. What do you think happens when they grow up? What do you think happens when they get married when they're 25? When for their entire childhood they've been told that, "Oh my God, you are king. You are #1. You are the prince, right? You are the god of the world." Or you've been told that, "Oh yes, you go queen, slay. You're a princess. You're so special." And yeah, of course, when they grow up, they're going to act like a little bitch. What do you think? When you have these 2 people, both who grew up as the only child in their family, both have been basically completely spoiled rotten. They have never ever been told no in their entire life. And yeah, what happens? What do you think these couple, when they can meet, let's say when they're in university, when they're 18 years old, and they date for a few years, and they get married at 24? There's a 90% chance that marriage is going to end up in divorce. because you have two people who have never ever been told no in their life, and they're completely spoiled rotten, right? And so this is a massive crisis.
Boom! Main character syndrome strikes again. Basic sociology, guys. The one-child policy created an entire generation of entitled individuals, and now it's biting China in the ass. At the end of the day, traditional solutions don't work in modern times, but human survival instincts never change. When faced with hardship,
And again, this is not just a Western problem. And again, we're asking modern people to adapt to, a traditional institution. And these gentlemen online that have these conversations with us, they want to make this about, if you guys were in the top 20% and all the men that get the outcome and this, man, nobody trying to get that outcome. I mean, if you talk about the guys who fell on the sword, Tom Brady, the Steph Currys, and everybody else who's having problems in these relationships, Tyrese, you name it, Emmett Smith, Kenny Smith, Will Smith, you go down the list. So money is not the issue. Level and status is not the issue. It's the mindset and mentality of the people that are involved in these marriages. This is the modern world. And we're asking people these people are not going to fall into certain roles long term. Long term is the word. See, anybody can be on their best behavior for 2, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Hopefully they'll survive the 7-year itch. But this is something that exists in the distance. And that's why when I hear these goofies talking about, men and why aren't people dating? The dating market is trash. Well, what are you dating for? Are you trying to get married or are you trying to get boxed? Because if you're trying to get married, you should be courting. Dating is basically prostitution. What are you trying to get from dating? So you can blow hundreds of bucks on people that have no interest in you. You don't know their family. You don't even know whether you align with that person or not. It's not like you guys are taking, here's my family and here's your family, and we may have a match. Now that's more reasonable. That's courting. But the dating aspect of things, it's like, what the hell? Some of these dudes better off hiring a worker, a sex worker, because that's pretty much the equivalent of what they're getting out here in the dating market right now. Is somewhat, because all you're doing is paying for somebody's free food. I mean, I don't see where that's going to transition. So you take a woman out 2, 3 times. What exactly is the end goal that you want to get? Get to know her. You'll be out thousands and thousands every year. Because the way how some of these women are moving, they already have men they're sleeping with. No, they're not celibate. They're certainly not traditional. They already have men they're hooking up with. So what is the end goal to this? And this is the type of loop that men are trapped in, because you got these coaches, these game coaches, these people that are on the right wing, religious folks, the Andrew Wilsons of the world, talking ecclesiastic marriages. But the other 50% women are like, you might as well put them on a missing persons box, milk box, because they're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? He said the 7-year itch was 1950. Even then, they knew they once time fast the representative of the spouse would fall, and then it was going to get real from there. Yeah, I think it's the only solution. I mean, the only hope you have would be stringent new laws, and maybe an arranged marriage formula for the young people, that is, but as a man in a kind of environment that we have, regardless of what system that we put in place, the way how the society is designed is that you're on your own. You're on your own. Because men put a lot into marriage and relationships. You have to invest your heart and soul. You're a provider and protector in that household. You're invested, and anything that goes down it's your obligations are enforced by the state. Hers is by whatever the feeling is. No, it's not a call-in stream today. No. So that's the fact in life that we have to deal with. We have to deal with, man. You know. I mean, if there's a question you want to ask, you can ask the question. But I'll start doing the call-in streams though. I try and avoid the panels, man. The panels become like, you got all kinds of people coming in with all types of religious conversations when the reality is marriage is handled in the courts with the state. That's where it's handled, you know. So what does it matter? The church can be involved as much as possible, but at the end of the day, you know, we have married dudes that are in the church right now dealing with nonsense. I think that's where I'm at, unfortunately. I mean, until I see some changes in the law, he said the scheme is the same, but nowadays women have a safe exit door for relationships, and the right call is to let these wild horses run free and without your pockets. Unfortunately, it's going to be a stalemate for a while, because the young men have seen too much. They've seen their fathers, they've seen their grandfathers, they've seen their uncles, grandfathers, and many other men that have gone through some serious issues with marriage. And when they go through these issues, there's nobody there that's covering their backs. Nobody's looking out for them. I mean, even in my profession, I look at a lot of guys have self-deleted themselves. But nobody wants to talk about that. He said, I'm a Calvinist, but like you say, it's cooked. We can't go medieval on witches or 304s anymore. No, we can't do anything. And you know what I'm saying? Like everything that goes wrong in that house, whether you have an unruly woman or not, everything that goes wrong in that house, it's your ass. It doesn't matter what she does. It doesn't matter. Once you get into that contract, people don't want to hear nothing. And that's why I added this thumbnail there, how them dudes be acting who be giving you advice. They be out. This is how they be acting. You know, you can't find them. All the Andrew Wilsons and all these dudes talking. And I put how the men encouraging you to marry modern women behave when the ecclesiastic marriage fails. That's how they be. And you know what's so crazy? Some of your married friends will also turn their back on you because they don't want to catch the divorce virus. Their wives be like, hey, you stay away from a peaceful life and Mr. Semendolf, stay away from them because you don't want to catch the divorce disease. And all of a sudden, the people that were married that used to hang out with you, they didn't shun you. Because when these divorces happen, what a lot of men don't realize is their character has already been assassinated. She's already built a coalition already. She's talked to all of her friends and all of your friends and all of your married friends, and she's sold them on what a horrible human being you are and how you are just not performing well in the marriage. So your character's already been assassinated before divorce. You know, because women just don't act alone. They like to build a coalition. You know, and they get a whole coalition and come for you. You say, no wonder Andrew Wilson's always yeah, they be coming for you, man. They come for you all the time, you know. Yeah, they'd be like, you be like, damn, they ganging up on me. Yeah, they ganging up on you. She been planning this divorce for the last 3 years. You just figured out that you about to get done. And, you know, you go to the church the pastor and everybody in the church looking at you like this. Well, we're going to have more prayer session for you and your wife, and we're going to sit down and pray about this, and see you guys in church on Sunday. You know what I mean? Like, and they can't help you. How can they help you? She's already made her mind. She's watching 100 TikTok videos a day, and they're reinforcing everything that she feels is your problem, and you're the reason why she's unhappy. And the solution to her happiness is to get rid of your ass and get out here and get one of these sexy men they told them is out here, on the internet, or someone is out here waiting for her that's going to treat her different than you, who she is deemed to be a scumbag. Yeah, he'd be smoking his ass off. That'd be funny as hell, right? But with that being said, we're getting on the hour range, gentlemen. But that's where we at with this situation in life. I mean, you're on your own. Just get that through your head. You're on your own. And these guys that are talking, forget about the legal system, how unfair the laws. Don't let them make this shit. They like to try and make this about box. And you guys are just not picking the right women. Really? Everybody that thought they got into a marriage thought they picked the right women. Yeah? You're not going to know who that person is you're looking at in court. Steven Crowder thought he picked the right woman. Everybody thinks they picked the right woman. And the right woman today may not be the right woman 10 years from now. You know what I mean? Like, you don't think people change and things change and circumstances change? And who says that 10 years from now that person is going to be willing to work things out when you have gotten to a higher status economically? You're more invested. There's more assets to walk away with. And like I said, the dream is always there's something better on the other side. Oh yeah, absolutely. 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 I totally agree. And that's what people don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about that. They want to make everything all rosy. Look at the statistics. What the average marriage in America lasts, about 7 years or so? 7, 8 years. The average marriage in Latin America, how long does the average marriage in America last? Yeah, that it ends in about 8 years. Statistically, that linked to the 7-year itch. Where now the gray divorce is the one that's really hurting, right? It's really kicking off right now. The gray divorce is like the one that's like, it's like, the gray divorce is the one that's kicking right now. And I think that's more social media and empty nest facilitated, because again, the kids are gone. The kids are usually at college by that time, and that woman is there, and she's watching a lot of social media, and she's like, now she thinks that anything that she's, failing at in life is the responsibility of your ass. She's unhappy. She's miserable. She doesn't want to perform anymore, and she's tired of dealing with your ass. And she thinks to herself, let me get out here and get a hold of some sexy man out here that I'm seeing on the internet. So she's looking at the guy she married 10 years ago, and she's like, it's time to move on, baby. It's time to move on. And your ass is expended. And all her single friends are like, girl, we out here getting sausaged by these young boys. Girl, we're having so much fun. We just went to Jamaica last month. And she's looking at you like, I could have been on that trip. But now I got to deal with this dude over here. But anyhow, with that being said, I'm getting out of here for the day, man. Appreciate you guys joining the stream. Make sure you hit the like button. He said, basically, if a man ends up in a bad relationship, it's his fault. Everything. Yep. If a woman ends up in a bad relationship, it's a man's fault also. Knowing it's always your fault. Ain't no point in you even trying to explain your way out of it. You're the villain. You're the monster. It is your fault. That's a mistake dudes be thinking. Like, you could just, like, people going to take accountability, or somebody's going to be like, well, he was a good guy. And even if you were a good guy, he's still going to get cooked. And, she did things wrong in the relationship. Nope. Not happening. Because they won't say that, because they don't want the woman that they messing with to hear that. That might, she might get upset with them and don't reward them with any box that night. So they gonna take your back because they're scared. They don't want to mess up their situation. Anyhow, I'm out, man. Peace and blessings, man. Appreciate you guys joining me.